Let's talk about America's two-tier justice system, because this has become just undeniable at this point. There are just some unbelievably good examples of how America operates on a system where it is, if you are politically on one side of the fence, you are forgiven for everything. And if you are politically on the other side of the fence, you are unfairly persecuted.
Friend enemy distinction in play.
Or you could say it's repressive tolerance, which I think would be more accurate. We have actually done quite a lot of repressive tolerance on the website. But for this one, Harry recently published an article called On the Difficulty of Right-Wing Organization. And you are going to see a lot of that in this segment. This is a great article, by the way. I read it before the thing, and you should go and read it too. It's actually free.
The reason I bring up friend enemy in here is because Harry does mention it, because he speaks about the fact that there are people in the anti-woke coalition who exist, who promote their principles as some kind of abstraction that sandbags any ability for us to retaliate against our enemies because we are being unilaterally persecuted.
Yes.
It's the same principle that Schmidt had. It said, like, the liberal, when asked Christ or Barabbas, will convene a committee and decide, and by the time that they finish deciding, the person's already crucified.
Yeah. But the friend enemy distinction is just the right-wing version of repressive tolerance, really. It's the same principle. Anyway, so Enrique Terrier, the ex-chairman of the Proud Boys, was sentenced to 22 years in prison for his part in the January the 6th riots.
Is this the guy that was in Maryland when it happened?
Yeah, he wasn't there.
Literally wasn't even, he was in Maryland.
He was also literally banned from Washington, D.C.
Yeah, because there was a warrant out for his arrest, wasn't there, about something else? But so he wasn't even there.
Well, no, the New York Times, Washington Post tells us. Terrier was convicted even though he wasn't in Washington on January the 6th. He's been arrested 2 days earlier for burning a Black Lives Matter flag, torn down from a DC church, which tells you everything about the problems in America at the moment, during an earlier protest following Trump's defeat, and was banned from the city as a result.
Now, I will say, probably a silly move to take the flag down, burn it down in front of the church.
And it'll get you banned from Washington, D.C.
Yes.
But what a legend.
However,
There's also that.
I would also be far more furious had they not been burning down lots of other churches and sent Trump into the underground White House bunker on 5/29, which should have been counted as an insurrection.
Yeah, if they hadn't burned down so many cities, I might be more sympathetic to the BLM case. But this Terrier himself was convicted of seditious conspiracy and obstructing the congressional proceeding meant to confirm the 2020 election. He wasn't there. He physically was not there. So I can't say I really think there's a just sentence, personally, right?
Didn't he basically just send a text with the Ash Sarkar line, "We're winning, lads"?
Yeah, basically, yeah. That's essentially.
I've been watching the football.
Prosecutors said he had recruited people to join in a violent assault on the Capitol to keep Trump in power and messaged them, quote, "Don't effing leave."
Oh, so he works for the FBI?
So no, they were in there. And he was like, "Don't leave." And they're like, "Oh, this is seditious conspiracy. You are overthrowing a republic in a city you're not even allowed in. You're not present, but you are the ringleader of all of this." And so of all of there have been 5 Proud Boys, I believe, who have been sentenced. He got the worst. A lot of them have been getting 17 years, 15 years, 10 years. He got 22 years.
This is symbolic, though. Do you remember when on the debate stage, Trump was asked about the Proud Boys, and he just said, "Stand back and stand by," and they used a clip to recycle that, saying, "Oh, they're basically the paramilitary wing of the MAGA Republic." They are anchoring this on him because he is just a symbol. It doesn't matter whether he was there or not, how effective they are, or how extremist they are, because they're not. It's a cudgel they can use.
There are people in prison still who they haven't even had a trial yet, haven't they?
Yeah, Josh has re-spoken to one of them again. Still,
we have interviews with them on the website because this is such an obvious miscarriage of justice.
Like what?
It's so obviously political.
This is what I just don't get with the modern world. Like we complain, and like most people, like, you know, you see so many people these days like, they'll complain on Twitter. I'm like, okay, what are you gonna do? Like, well, I'm like, no, come on. Like, if you really feel strongly about it, you know, I've been inside migrant camps. Why? Because I feel strongly about it. I want to go and expose this stuff. I go in the hotels. I'll go and piss people off in the street. But everyone else is just, oh, well, I'm gonna retweet. Like, let's do something. There's actually a lot of us. If we just do something, this will be done. It's like with all the mortgage rates and all that. Oh, it's screwing us all over. Well, let's do something. There's a lot of...
The problem is, people don't know what to do. That's the problem. And when someone does something like a riot, I think is the best description for it, but it was supposed to be a protest. Okay, that's a protest. It's not an attempt to overthrow the republic in arms. Of all the countries in all the world with guns, the fact that not a single one of them had a weapon kind of shows me that it wasn't a coup.
Right? Except for the policeman that shot Ashley Babbitt.
We'll get to him. Let's carry on, right? Because there's just loads here, right? So a bunch of other them were convicted. They wanted terrorism charges for Terrier, the prosecutors, but the judge was like, well, there's no evidence that Terrier, not there at the time, was planning on committing mass casualties in DC. So we can't actually give him the terrorism charge because none of them were with guns. He wasn't there at all. And they didn't seem to have a plan to blow everyone up. Oh, thank God for small mercies.
Oh, they seem reasonable then.
Yeah, very reasonable. Exactly. He's not a terrorist. He's just a seditious conspiracist who's trying to overthrow the republic. Yeah, okay, yeah. Totally reasonable, right? But Terrier himself has completely capitulated to what he's I'm so sorry. I was watching media that told me my anger was justified. I do not think what happened that day is acceptable. And to be fair, I don't blame him for just essentially falling on the mercy of an obviously political
But they're going to do it anyway.
That's
exactly.
I don't blame him, but have we learned nothing?
Yeah.
Like,
the thing is,
say sorry. Like, they did a Family Guy about when Brian said sorry, and they still go for him.
Yeah, but the thing is, they may well have been like, you know what? Yeah, it was terrorism. You do get the full thing. So I don't blame him for doing that. You are right. They're going to do it anyway, but who knows, right? So anyway, even his lawyers pointing out that kind of he was a Fed wasn't good enough. Apparently, his lawyers pointed out the history of working with law enforcement. Court records show that he previously worked undercover for investigators during a 2012 fraud case he was involved in. I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to say he's a Fed. I was just joking.
That was well before the Proud Boys were even started.
It was well before the Proud Boys. So who knows, but the point is, it doesn't matter what your history or past history of service is. If you fall on the wrong side of the dividing line of politics, you will get absolutely creamed by the status quo. And so that brings us to Mr. Ray Epps.
Oh, he's going to get done, isn't he?
Tomorrow, we need to go into the Capitol. Into the Capitol. What? No! Peacefully. Fed. Tomorrow, I don't even like to say it because I'll be arrested.
Well, let's not say it.
We need to go. I'll say it.
All right.
We need to go in.
Shut the fuck up, Boomer.
To the Capitol.
Base Fed posting? All right. We need to go into the Capitol. I didn't see that coming. Okay.
Our president is done speaking. We are going to the Capitol, where our problems are. It's that direction. Please spread the word. All right, noted. Okay, but one more thing.
Yeah, so can we go up there? No?
When we go in,
are we going to get arrested if we go up there?
Yeah. You don't need to get
Did
shot.
you arrest us all?
So we'll leave that there because that's going on. But I can see there's plenty of footage of Ray Epps, not just at the protest, but actively organizing people to go into the Capitol.
What's fascinating is when Ted Cruz asking the FBI head about this, he said, were there federal agents on January 6th? I can't comment. Was Ray Epps an FBI informant? Oh, I can't comment.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a no then.
Yeah. And in fact, if you look at Ray Epps, so Ray Epps has not been charged with anything, right? So he can be there. He can be on camera multiple times telling people you must go into the Capitol.
Inciting trespassing.
At the very least, right? He can literally be at the barricade trying to get people to go in, and he gets charged with nothing.
Do you know the New York Times actually wrote a puff piece on him? And
I'll get to that in a second because it's mad, right? So on the Wikipedia page, just quoting from there, Tucker Carlson kept bringing up Ray Epps, good man, saying that he essentially stage managed the insurrection, which he did kind of look like he was. And in 2021, a video of Ray Epps was played by Republican Congressman Thomas Massie during a House Oversight hearing. Massie asked Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, why Epps had not been charged with any crime, and Garland refused to comment. What could possibly be the reason? Unless, and this is why everyone thinks, well,
chanting Fed.
Exactly, right? And what cracks me up is the Autistic Zoomers instantly understood, no, wait, this guy's trying to hurt us.
You're glowing like a worm.
Exactly. What? No, yeah, and it's a guy called Baked Alaska. Like, some of the best and brightest of the Groper Twitter,
right?
Who instantly clocked, oh no, we shouldn't do that. That's a good idea. Don't do that. This guy's a Fed, right? Yeah. And so, I mean, they went in anyway because idiots. But the point is, it became instantly obvious that this guy is not one of them. And then he starts getting loads of favorable coverage. As you said, there were, lots of puff pieces. This is just one of many puff pieces that portray him as the victim of his attempt at an insurrection, I suppose. Like, look at the title there. Jan 6 protester, now at the center of far-right conspiracy, says he relives the Capitol riot every day. Where he's yelling, go in, go in. What? Why did you say it?
Conspiracy is his own words.
Exactly. It's you. Exactly. You're the head of the conspiracy.
It's very 1984, isn't it? Like,
it's mad.
Deceive your own eyes. Yeah, like, do not believe what you're seeing.
It's mad. And listen to this write-up, right? What do you think you would have to do to get a write-up like this, right? For millions of consumers of conservative news, Ray Epps is a notorious villain, a provocateur responsible for turning peaceful protests on January 6th into a violent assault on the Capitol.
Yes.
I think that's only because they watched the video of him doing it, right? That's only because of that, right? The irony is that Epps was a passionate supporter of President Trump, but is often his contradictory behavior that day spawned a full-fledged conspiracy theory, casting him as a government agent who cited an insurrection. Today, Epps is in hiding after death threats forced him to sell his home. So who is Ray Epps? Tonight, you'll hear from the government and the man himself. What do I have to do to get that kind of sympathetic write-up from CBS?
Tonight, you will hear the truth from the defendant and the accused.
Mariana Spring didn't even reach us for comment.
No, exactly. I get blocked when I say that's not correct, right? And so then we go into him. He's suing Fox News for these various claims. Like, okay, but what were you doing?
I tell you why this won't go anywhere. Discovery.
Well, yeah.
So this won't actually happen because otherwise, Ray Epps would have to turn over plenty of things, as with the intelligence services.
Yeah. This is just for headlines.
I think it would go somewhere because, as we've seen the past few years, evidence doesn't matter.
Yeah, true, fair point.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you can be convicted of organizing the crime while not being in the city, while in the face of a guy saying, go over there, then, yeah, you're right.
It's like the George Floyd stuff. Like, oh, no, Derek Chauvin killed him. Well, firstly, you hear the man say, I can't breathe while stood up.
While he sat in the police car.
And then they even looked at this in court. He moves his knee from further up his back to lower it. And so the evidence here literally contradicts everything you say. Yes, guilty.
Yeah. But anyway, so let's talk about the police officer who shot Ashley Babbitt. This was a man called, I do have his name here. I just can't remember where it is. It is there somewhere.
Lieutenant Michael Bird.
That's it. Lieutenant Michael Leroy Bird. But look at this though, right? So his name was known to U.S. Capitol Police, congressional staffers, and federal investigations, but no one would divulge it. Why? He shot someone.
No comment.
In a crowded hallway with his other colleagues.
When they were flanked by police officers being walked around, an unarmed person who wasn't doing anything. I mean, there were other people trying to break in, but she wasn't. So why did she get shot? And okay,
he was shot blindly round the corner of a door.
Yeah, it's mental, right? And so I mean, needless to say, Babbitt's family were like, well, they're protecting this man. This is political. This is not about justice.
Right, conspiracy theorists.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, mental.
Yeah.
Just because
your daughter was just murdered for no reason.
Just because they all know who he is, but no one will divulge it. That's no reason to think that there's some sort of conspiracy.
I mean, that's real toxic masculinity right there.
Anyway, so finally, we get to know who he is, and then he's just cleared of all wrongdoing without even being interviewed about what happened. Isn't that mad?
But he gets an interview with the mainstream press to clear his name.
Exactly. And then he's the victim of the woman he shot, is how this is being portrayed. He went on NBC Nightly News to tell his side of the shooting. And killing of unarmed rioter Ashley Babbitt. Oh, he's such a victim here. How could she have done this to him? But look at his watery eyes, like he's crying. So She's just leapt.
She
in
just
front of my
walked
gun.
on the end of my bullet.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't my fault.
But as the family attorney, Terry Roberts for the Babbitt family, says he didn't provide any statement to criminal investigators, and they didn't push him to make a statement. It's astonishing how skimpy his investigative file is. That's wild, isn't it?
Pay no attention to the murderer behind the curtain.
Exactly, right? And so I thought we'd just finish on this last thing, which now, I mean, you might expect something like this to happen in Britain, but you wouldn't expect something like this to happen in America because you would think the First Amendment would prevent this kind of thing. But there was a social media influencer called Douglas Mackey who used to run an anonymous Twitter account called Ricky Vaughn. Ricky Vaughn was an alt-right Twitter account, and you might have known what happened to this guy.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah, because he was, you'd see his memes around. And
yeah,
stuff
memes.
Like yeah, right. He was a meme account who had the Charlie Sheen with the MAGA cap on, right? And everyone knew who he was, but it turns out this guy was a guy called Douglas Mackey from Florida. And he was convicted, as the United States Attorney Office tells us, by a federal jury in Brooklyn of the charge of conspiracy against rights. This is a meme account on Twitter. Stemming from his scheme to deprive individuals of their constitutional right to vote. My goodness.
Yes,
My
I
goodness,
remember
what could he have possibly done? Like, what systems did he interfere with? Who was he fiddling with the ballot box? Was he messing around with the Dominion voting systems?
Did he burst that pipe in Georgia?
Exactly. Who knows?
Was he a voter who was born on the 1st of January 1900 in Philadelphia?
Who knows what he could have done? Well, the attorney's office tells us Mackey conspired with other influential Twitter users. Okay, I'm not hearing where the depriving of votes come from here.
Groiper 29784.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, we've got you now, Ricky Vaughn. Right. And other members of private online groups to use social media platforms. How is anyone deprived of a vote using a social media platform, including Twitter, to disseminate fraudulent messages that encourage supporters of presidential candidate Hillary Clinton to vote via text message or social media, which in reality is legally invalid?
If you fall for that, you do not deserve to participate in the voting process anyway.
But that's not depriving anyone of their vote, because even if they did that, they could be like, oh, wait, that doesn't work. I'm just going to go down and vote anyway.
Do you reckon anyone laughed in court when the evidence was shown?
It's a Brooklyn jury. I don't think so.
Imagine the judge giggled. And they went,
exactly.
Quite funny, but guilty.
Exactly. But this is so preposterous that this is the thing that he is in jail for right now. He's in jail. This carries 10 years.
Meanwhile, as we've seen recently with Laura Loomer's investigation, there are actual possible Azov battalion members who have shown up at rallies saying they support Joe Biden, not been arrested. You can tell them by their face tattoos. And mysteriously, they're at January 6th taking photos with Jacob Chansley, the QAnon shaman. And why are these people just allowed to roam the streets?
And even weirder, Antifa don't turn up to the guys who have literally got Nazi flags, who are literally Zig Heiling and screeching about Jews and the white race and whatnot. Antifa are nowhere to be seen.
Curious.
It is very strange. But anyway.
But memes are way worse.
Another thing that happened literally just before we went live is apparently Owen Schroyer, the InfoWars host, is being investigated as well for political commentary, which I assume somehow also connects to all of this.
What, because he was on the ground while there?
Yeah, like I said, it happened literally just for the podcast, so I haven't managed to look into it, which is why I haven't properly included it. But Owen Schroyer is also under the eye of Sauron as well. And if you can go to jail for 10 years for posting a meme, then I would suggest that possibly he's in trouble as well.
I'm pretty concerned because I went to America back in 2018. Mm-hmm. So I might get arrested for all this because, well, you don't have to be in the same city and you get arrested.
I was in DC in July.
I went there.
Let's hope you don't get extradited by Rishi Sunak.
I probably would, don't he, though, Wef?
Yeah, he probably would, yeah.
If you appreciated that episode of the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that's on the site, such as the Brokenomics series, this episode on Elon Musk. If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.